Yesterday we have discussed about this topic that if the force is applied obliquely, if the force, the portion, the one which is applied, which is there present on your screen, if we have discussed about it that if force is applied obliquely on an object, for example, if there is a toy car, if we apply the force, we tie, we tie. String to it and apply the force, the car will come in motion in this direction and there will be the formation of an angle. That means that there is angle, that is force is applied on the body obliquely and the motion is of the object is turned is in the forward direction horizontally. Now the work done in this case was can be calculated by using the formula F cos theta into S, where F is the force, cos theta. Theta will have the value of this angle, which is being formed between by the force applied and the direction of motion. Okay, the angle which is being formed between the force applied and the direction of motion. This angle will give us the value of theta. Then in the trigonometric ratio table, we have to find out the value of cos theta. Then we can solve it. Okay, but let me tell you, yesterday also I have told you that if the force applied, if the angle formed between the force applied and the direction of motion is 90 degree, if the force applied and direction of motion, the angle between the force applied and direction of motion is 90 degree, then what will be the work done? Because in such case, the work done will be zero. Why? As you know that cos 90, the value of cos 90 in trigonometric ratio table
Zero.
is 0. So uh, F0 into S. So anything, in multiplication, anything multiply by 0, the value will become 0. Okay, so we have seen that if there is the angle, if the angle formed between the force applied and the direction of motion is 90, then the work done will said to be as 0. Okay, so when a potter or when a coolie lift the load on his head and walks horizontally, walks in the forward direction, there is no work done. Why there is no work done? Because the angle formed between the force applied and the direction of motion is 90 degree. So the work done will be 0. In the same manner, yesterday I have discussed with you that if an object is moving along a circular path, then the centripetal force which is being applied on the object so that it will keep rotating on a path, the centripetal force and the direction of motion forms an angle of 90 degree. The centripetal force applied on the object while the object is moving along a circular path, the centripetal force and the direction of motion forms forms angle 90 degree between the force applied and direction of motion. So the value, the work done will be 0. It is possible that work done will be 0. It is possible that work done will be positive. It is possible that the work done will be negative also. But there are certain conditions which has to be understood by you when the work done will be 0 and when the work done will be negative and when the work done will be positive.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, lower board is not visible.
Okay, I will use the upper one only. Okay, no problem. As we were discussing that work done is positive. Just a moment. Okay, I was discussing about that work done is positive when the work is done positive. For example, if we apply the force on a car, for example, this is the duster which is lying on my hand, and I will apply the force so that the duster comes in motion, right? I apply the force and the duster comes in motion. If the motion of the object and force applied is in same direction, if the motion and force applied is in same direction, then work done will be positive. I hope you must have understood from this example that if I apply the force in this direction, if I apply the force in this in forward direction and the motion of the conductor, motion will also be in the same direction, motion will also be in the same direction, then what will happen if I apply the force and then the work done will be positive. Okay, then the work done will be positive. Now, when the work done will be negative, when the force applied, work done will be negative when force act opposite to the direction of the motion. For example, here there are two forces which are acting on this object. One is the gravitational force and one is the reaction. But if I am applying the force, there is one more equal amount of force which is being applied by the object on my hand, and that force we call as frictional force. Okay, right? The frictional force always acts in the opposite direction to that of the force applied, right? For example, uh, when we step, when we step up for walking, what we do, what we tend to do, we apply the force in the, we apply the force right on the ground, and the friction of the ground applies an equal amount of force but in the opposite direction. So what will happen if I apply the force on this duster, the duster will move in the forward direction. Here the work done will be positive when the force applied and the direction of motion is in the same direction. Then the work done will set to be as positive. But if the force applied and direction of motion is in opposite to each other, then the work done will set to be as negative. Force of friction is always negate a force, the work done by the force of friction. The work done by the force of friction is always negative. Why? Because the force is always in the opposite direction. Force applied by the frictional force is always in the opposite direction to that of the direction of motion of the object. So here I am having the pen. I'm applying the force. The direction of motion is in forward direction, but the frictional force is in opposite direction. So the work done by the frictional force on this object will be negative. So if the force applied and direction of motion is same, then the work done is said to be positive. But if the force applied and direction of motion are opposite to each other, then the work done is said to be as negative. And when the force applied and direction of motion forms an angle of 90-degree, then the work done is said to be as zero. So these are the three conditions. When the work, sorry, these are the three conditions where the work done can be positive. So we were discussing about that when the work done will be positive, when the work done will be negative, and when the work done will be zero. So we have understood all the conditions when we will say that work done is positive, negative, or zero.